Hello, my name is Frank Falker, and if you are a homeowner or a property owner of any kind here in Northern Virginia, I have a treat for you today. My guest today is Jeremiah Davies, who's owner of Orion Home Improvements based here in Northern Virginia. And Jeremiah has come up with a great idea to help homeowners and property owners of all kinds throughout the area better understand how to maintain and improve their properties over time. He's bringing his expertise out through the internet using YouTube and some other channels to make it easier for you to get answers to your questions about home improvement, about maintenance, about all types of things that we're going to explain right now. There's going to be a whole series of these videos. Today's video is simply an introduction to the idea and the concept, and to talk a little bit about what it is we're going to talk about throughout the series, what it is that Jeremiah is going to share with you. So let's start off by welcoming Jeremiah Davies to the broadcast. And Jeremiah, if you would, tell us a little bit about this idea and what you hope to accomplish.
All right, fantastic. And first of all, Frank, thanks so much for having us here and helping us do this here. The reason we are in the process of doing this is because over the years, we've had a series of questions, and they're series of questions that are similar among all of our property owners, whether they're property management companies, homeowners, or people that just own a home that they're renting out to somebody else. And so what we want to do is focus on these questions that are here and get the message out from not only people that can see us, but broaden our reach and our ability to bring value to the community and help them understand the answers to these really most common questions and situations.
Great. So we have a whole list of things that we're going to talk about, and I'm interested. It's funny, the first one, again, we're just going to touch on each issue today and go into further depth in future videos. And each of the topics we're going to talk about today will be covered in depth in a future video. But the first one I'm very interested in, which is the overall remodeling process, the cycle, the whole experience that a homeowner goes through. What will you be sharing in that video?
Well, the first thing that we'll probably touch on is really the decision to actually have a project done. Is it a need? Is it a want? Is it something that's going to bring value to a property? We'll talk about why those decisions actually come to the forefront. And then from there, what we'll do is we'll kind of delve into how to select a contractor. There's a lot of myths and misconceptions about what you should be doing and how you should think about the process of going forward to choose a contractor. And unfortunately, what we find is that a very high amount of people, it's somewhere around 68%, aren't really satisfied with the end result of their project. And that can stem back to, the beginning of why you started the search for a contractor, why you need the project, and really how to go about selecting that contract and project that fits your own personal needs.
Interesting. So people aren't even really clear at the very beginning what it is that they're trying to accomplish. You've come across that?
Absolutely. And over the years, what we've done is we've actually kind of perfected, actually, I wouldn't say perfected, but we've improved on our question asking right from the very first phone call. If someone calls into us, we want to dig deeper and kind of get into the mindset of, why they're calling, what drove them to reach out to us, and kind of understand their needs and their mindset from the get-go. Because a lot of times folks just don't even know why they're calling. They may have a leak, say, for their roof, but they have no idea if they are in need of a roof repair, if a little bit of service is going to take care of it, if the money they spend on that is going to be a wise investment versus say doing a full replacement and getting back to the freedom of having 30 to 40 years of no worries with the roofing. And then when it comes to windows, what do they need? Is it a long-term investment? Are they only going to be in the house for a few more years? And then with our commercial properties, it's really about how do we make it easy for them to not do their jobs when it comes to managing contractors. They should be helping tenants and managing their staff, and a property manager really doesn't need to be managing a contractor. They need to have the ability to know that contractor has the right information to guide them on how to take care of the building envelope, which is what we try to do for our customers across the board.
And by building envelope, you mean everything in the exterior of the building, the roof, the walls, and so forth?
Absolutely. If you just start at the peak of the roof, come down, get down to your fascias and trims, which kind of outline the roof, the gutters and water management system to get that rainwater out away from the building, and then the wall coverings, which would be your sidings, your windows, your doorways, things of that nature. That's kind of the building envelope, the skin on the outside of a building.
Okay, and then you talk about also just the process of deciding who you should even call to get a bid from, and then when you do have people come in, how to process and manage that whole cycle, and all the way from beginning to end. I think that's an interesting approach that I had not heard tackled before.
Okay. Yeah. And again, that goes back to the myths and misconceptions. I mean, there's the thing from, you've got to get 4 bids to, you've got to, go with price and negotiate down. And there's a lot of things that really revolve around how am I going to make this easy on my wallet? And unfortunately, when people are focusing on the wallet only or the checkbook there, they're not really looking at the big picture about, longevity of the product. Is it the right product for me? Is this contractor have the support staff and the wherewithal to really come in and make sure that this goes smooth for me? There's a few things of value that a good contractor, a good product, and a good project can bring to you to give you peace of mind that really goes outside of, say, the pocketbook aspect. And so again, from the how to ask friends and your referral network that you may know to find a good contractor, how to interview a contractor, and some of the key items to focus on during the beginning phases of the project. Once you have those ideas kind of embedded in your head, you can really begin to move forward in the process and get to a point where you're making a very educated decision and not so much one that's a voodoo kind of deal where you're just throwing some stuff in the dark and kind of hoping with fingers crossed that you've made the right decision.
That's great stuff. That's great. Well, we will be able to talk about that in more detail during that video. So let's move forward to the next topic,
Okay.
which is one that is on the top of mind with a lot of homeowners, which is high efficiency replacement windows. What sort of things are you going to touch upon in that video, Jeremiah?
Well, with windows, there's so many different types of manufacturers out there and the grades of vinyl and things that go along with it. So what we'll talk about is we'll talk about how to know a good window from a bad, because you really can't see from the outside. We'll talk a little bit about the glass packages that allow to keep the UV light from coming in to damage and fade the floors of your homes, and the solar heat gain, which allows the sun to bake your house and really just raise the temperatures. The things that that go beyond the $189 window install, because when you're really looking at this, there's a few things that you want to take care of for your home. And when we find those, whether they're energy and efficiency, sound efficiency, the quality and operations of the windows, once we find those items, we can put you in a product that fits your budget and fits your needs really well.
There's so many little things that people don't think about. And I remember I did not actually contract to have these replacement windows installed, but I bought a house that had just had the windows replaced, I guess, as part of getting it ready to sell. And the one thing, I was amazed at how much cozier the house was than I would have expected from a house that age. But one thing I'd never really realized was the soundproofing aspect that great new high efficiency windows can have, how much quieter it is inside the house.
Absolutely. And one thing that I learned very early on, especially in the metro area, is there's a lot of townhomes and house developments that these days, because of development, are really backing up to high traffic areas. You've got townhomes at line 395. You've got single family homes that now have what used to be 2-lane road, now a 4-lane major thoroughfare. And so we've had issues where parents call up and say their children can't get to sleep at night because trucks are rumbling by, or mom is groggy in the morning because the horns keep beeping at 2 a.m. So we're able to come in, and whether it's insulated framed windows or laminated safety soundproofing glass, we're able to get something that lowers the decibels and gives peace and quiet back to the most sacred area of your home, where you need to rest and relax and recuperate and basically get yourself ready for the next day. And we make that a lot easier with some of our options.
That's great. That's a huge value that I'm sure a lot of people don't even think about.
You'd be surprised at the feedback we get, Frank, after we put these in. We do have some skeptics. And of course, anytime someone needs to part with their money to do a project, they're going to have a little bit of skepticism. But once this is in, once they experience it and they get those good nights of sleep in those rooms that used to be loud, we just get thank yous and thank yous and thank yous. And that's really what I like to hear is thank yous from my customers.
That's great. That's great. I'm sure, and from my own experience, as I say, I can only imagine that house was on a cul-de-sac deep in a neighborhood somewhere. It wasn't close to any high traffic area. I can only imagine the difference it would make for somebody who was in that situation.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the next thing. This is something that is on the minds of a lot of homeowners, has to do with their roof. How do you know about, or we're not going to go into that. It's funny. I really want to just pick your brain about all of this stuff, but we'll wait. What are we going to talk about in the video where we talk about making the decision between repairing or replacing your roof?
Really, what we're looking at here is getting an expert to come out and look at the roof and see where we are in the age and the amount of repair and service that a roof needs. And what we want to do is we want to take the cost and the investment of repair and service, look at the amount of time the roof has left, and then weigh that versus the cost of doing an entire roof replacement. The one thing we don't like to do is we don't like to nickel and dime customers to death. And there's plenty of companies out there that love to do that. It's like their bread and butter, and it's a continuous income stream. But for me personally, and what I recommend to my friends and family, is take a look at the investment aspect of it. How long are you going to be in the home? How long is that repair going to last? Weigh it against the cost of the replacement and just see if it makes sense. And the only way you can get that is not with a high pressure salesman, but with a true roofing expert and a contractor that's got your best interest at heart, not just another sale to put on the old leaderboard.
That's great. So you guys, I take it, take a real close look at the roof and then help the homeowner weigh their options.
Absolutely. My whole mantra here is I want to put my head on my pillow at the end of the night, knowing that we did our best for our customers. And sometimes our best isn't the most profitable thing. It's what really is best for that family, best for that customer.
That's great stuff. I really like that. Well, let's talk about buying a new door, something like a front door. You could get a sliding glass door, a pair of French doors. There's a lot of different doors that people can choose from. And although in terms of square footage and the overall amount percentage of space that as you put it, the exterior envelope is consumed by a door, it's actually a pretty big decision. What kind of factors will you be talking about in the buying a new door video, Jeremiah?
In the buying a new door video, what we want to talk about there is going to be buying your next door or buying your last door. And nice. The reason I talk about that is because the question that comes up most often, most frequently across the board is the fact that someone can go into a major box store retailer, they can walk down the door aisle, they can see price tags of doors that are there, but you've got to realize that although a door may look on the outside skin the same from A to B to C with slight variations, it's what's inside the door that counts. What type of materials, how well is that door constructed? Because if you think about it, if you're only leaving your house and coming back in once a day, you're doing that over 600 times over the course of a year. So if you're doing it 600 times, if you're only going out and coming back in once a day, how many times does that door open and close if you have a family of 4 or a family of 5 going in and out that door? If you've got a dog that jumps up and scratches on it, if you've got sun that bakes on it. So what we'll do is we'll talk about some of the ways that inferior door products can fail early, and then talk about how to look for things that are going to give you the quality that you need. It really comes down to understanding that there's more to it than just a price tag. Again, it's looking at what questions to ask to get deep down inside and understand what your purchase is.
You're absolutely right. Doors can be a big investment, but the value that they can bring, both in appearance and security and heat efficiency and so many other things, are tremendous as well. And I think a lot of people may not really understand all the various aspects of it and how important choosing the right door is. So I'm glad that you're going to be able to help people with that.
Absolutely.
I know another thing that Orion Home Improvements does is build decks. And do you also repair and maintain decks, or what are we going to learn about deck construction in that video?
Well, with deck construction, really what it comes down to is understanding the difference between, say, synthetics and natural wood products. There's a huge price difference between many different product lines out there. And so really what it is coming to, again, the terms of understanding what you're looking to achieve with this deck. Is it going to be a space that's getting a lot of traffic? It's going to be a gathering area for people. It's some place that you want to relax. Or is it just you've got a townhouse that's had boards across the door for the last 5 years, and you'd like to take those boards off and actually step outside and enjoy some fresh air from that second level area? Again, when we come to it, decks are very, I don't want to say simple, but in the grand scheme of things of construction, they're really not that difficult. And so once we get into a few of the standard deck details and some of the rules and regulations, very minor. What we'll do is we'll talk about how to ensure the quality of look and the quality of service and longevity is going to meet what you need, and how to take care of it. On the flip side, if you've had that deck for quite some time and there is some warping or splintering or some stuff that just doesn't seem right, we do have an ability to come out there, assess the situation, and spruce that deck back up to get it solid, safe, and really able to handle the traffic and the family when they get out there to gather on it.
That's great stuff, and I can certainly understand what you're saying, that decks relative to other projects that you guys get involved in may not be the most complex. But for the homeowner that has that right at the top of their mind, I'm sure it seems very important, and it's something that they're looking forward to getting your expert insight into.
Absolutely.
A minute ago, I was talking about the house that I bought where the previous owner had installed these great new windows. You are going to be doing a video about that very topic of preparing your home for sale. What are the types of things that you're going to be talking about in that video?
Well, on that video, and this is where we do have quite a bit of experience, we work with real estate agents all over the metro area, and doing specifically just that, making sure that a home is ready for sale, and then obviously preparing budgets for whether the person selling the home is going to take care of an issue, or if they're going to credit the new buyer with that money so they can get the stuff done and not have the headache on the other end. So we do work in a few different areas. But when we get to this topic, the things we're going to do is I'm going to focus on some of the items that our customers or homeowners can do to spruce up a place. Simple things like increasing the lighting in a home, swapping out a few knobs so you don't have the old kind of worn down finish. You've got bright new shiny finishes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll get into some areas about how to really maximize the investment in your home, and then we'll touch on a few things that we can do and some kind of case studies about things that we've done that taken a house that's sitting, not moving on the market for several months, coming in and with just a couple of changes to the outside, get a lot of interest, a lot of traffic, and eventually a buyer for a house that's spruced up and looks the right way for a potential buyer.
That's great stuff. I really like that doorknob tip, because clearly that's an inexpensive, relatively inexpensive item that can have a tremendous impact. When you grab that doorknob, it can tell you volumes about, oh, this house was built in 1955. This is that same old doorknob. and it's something you literally, as a prospective buyer, put hands on. And that's great. I love that. That's a great indication of the depth of information that you're going to be bringing. I appreciate that. Well, let's move on to the next video, which is going to be seasonal maintenance essentials. You talked about water management, making sure the water is going where it's supposed to go instead of down in your basement and other places. What kind of things are you going to be talking about in the seasonal maintenance video?
Well, in the seasonal maintenance, obviously, every time the weather changes, it brings a new set of challenges. And going back to that building envelope, the entire outside of your structure, it works in tandem to protect the inside of your home and your most valuable assets, which are your family, but also the most valuable kind of liability you have on that home mortgage. So we'll talk about how to make sure that water management is handled with the leaves coming down, how to make sure that attic spaces and home temperatures don't get way out of whack during the peak heat months of the summer. When we get into the fall, we'll talk about how to make sure we're getting ready for the eventual snow and ice. And most recently, we've had a lot of folks, dealing with snow and ice problems, and we can obviously do things throughout the year to prevent any of these seasonal changes from making a big impact on the home and possibly damaging the place that you lay your head to rest.
That's great stuff, and it's definitely a case of penny wise, pound foolish. Sometimes just a little bit of investment of effort and money into cleaning that gutter or downspout or whatever it is could save you hundreds or maybe even thousands of damage costs later, as well as the incredible hassle associated with that. So again, that's going to be a very valuable video for homeowners.
Absolutely.
Now, there's another thing that has to do with trim around windows, around doors, the soffit, the fascia, you name it. And it's often something that confuses people about, what is trim wrap? What does it mean? What does it do? Should I choose that? And should I go that way instead of having my wood trim replaced? What are you going to talk about in the trim wrap video, the trim video?
Well, in the trim video, there's a couple items that we'll talk about. Well, we'll talk about basically kind of the three ways and three products that can be used to clean up the home and give it that nice finished look. And those are going to be the synthetics like the PVC trim boards. We'll talk about natural lumber and the painting process that goes along with that. And then we'll talk about the aluminum capping, which is basically taking a thin sheet of aluminum, bending that to have nice angles and fit directly over the wood capping on there. We'll also look at how to maintain your open wood, the costs associated with the painting year after year, and really how to make sure that you're spending your money properly to keep your home looking as fresh as it can, whether that's a maintenance-free aspect, or if you're a hands-on person, don't mind pulling the ladder out and doing some painting, what kind of schedule you should be on and what to look for to make sure that you're minimizing your work and not really getting into a big rotten repair area.
Yeah, I'm definitely not that guy, the do-it-yourself guy. I much prefer the view of watching somebody else who's up the ladder and I'm down, sipping an iced tea. But I know everybody's different. Some people prefer and absolutely would not have it any other way. And I know that you want to bring information to everybody across the spectrum.
Absolutely, Frank. And you and I, we are kindred spirits when it comes to that aspect. While I'm a contractor and getting up on ladders on a day-to-day basis is something that I do. When I do get to my own home, I've tried to put as much maintenance-free or maintenance minimal stuff on my home as possible because I do want to sit down and enjoy that cup of tea and not really worry about working on my own home. So
that's great. I was surprised at first to hear you say that you preferred not to go up the ladder, but the way you explained it, you're up ladders every day. So when it's time to get back to your house, no ladders for me.
Absolutely.
I get it. Okay, we just got a couple items left, but I tell you, this is just a tremendous amount of information that's going to come out, and it's just going to be a lot of fun.
And I'm really looking forward to sharing it and really adding value to anybody who gets a chance to watch these videos, and hopefully we can answer some questions that are pressing for them as well.
I'm sure we will. There's no question, or you will. I'm just here listening and learning as well. Okay, we just got 2 topics left before we wrap up. The next video that you're going to be doing has to do with gutters and downspouts, gutter cover systems, all that kind of stuff, that what you were calling water management. I know you've touched on that a little bit along the way here. Any other specific details that you'll be covering in that video?
No, it's really just a matter of looking at kind of situations that we've seen arise with gutter systems. When are gutters appropriate? How do they go on? And with the large choice of different types of, say, protection systems, we'll kind of get into the 3 main styles and talk about the pros and cons of each one, and really just help people understand what types of questions, again, to ask when they're looking at making a decision like that for their own home. It's something that I didn't do for several years. Again, going back to that, I want to sit home and not do anything. But I got home one rainy afternoon. My own gutters were overspilling. My wife told me to get the ladder, get up there, and get them cleaned out. And you bet your bottom dollar that the very next dry day, I had the product installed in my own house, and now maintenance-free, no worries. But we'll talk about some of those issues, some case studies, and some ideas about what kind of questions to ask about each individual situation.
I think it's funny about gutters is that they're the kind of thing that you just don't think about. They're just there. You just, whatever, they catch the water. You just don't really consider it. But if they're not working right, and all at once you got water in the basement, or your foundation's starting to crack, or whatever, all at once those little gutters start to loom large. And,
absolutely. And we can get into, obviously, when we get to that topic a little bit more, but one of the most frustrating things that our customers call us about, and it's kind of a trivial deal, but really not so much if you think about it. We've got, Susie McHomeowner. She has spent all of her time kind of getting the mulch and getting her flower bed ready, and the spring is here, and it's absolutely beautiful outside. And then that big rainstorm comes, and they got water spilling over the gutter, washes out all that mulch out there. And so they get home and they see mud splash, mulch gone, and what they spent so much time working on the weekend before has been completely washed away. So that really is probably one of the #1 things that we get as complaints from homeowners is washing away the mulch of the garden. They don't understand the damage that's going on behind that and the other issues that come with it. But it's just something that, again, we see quite a bit, and we can help protect your back-breaking labor efforts by doing the right stuff with the gutter systems.
Great. And yeah, I had not thought about that and not heard that issue. But I can see where that's because that's right in front of them, that they can see the damage that was caused there. Whereas the damage that's going down next to the foundation is a little more insidious. You may not see that right away.
Absolutely.
Okay, and with that kind of in mind, it kind of segues right into the last topic that we have on the list here. And I realize that you may well come up with additional topics that you want to cover. And there's another great thing about this wonderful world of digital communication. There's no limit to the amount of information that you can share with people. But the last thing that we have on our list today has to do with insurance companies and repair claims. What kind of tips do you want to share with people when we get around to that video, Jeremiah?
Well, when we get to that video, a couple things we're going to do is we're going to really talk about what insurance is, a quick brief history of how insurance came to be, and then really talk about how it's applied to modern homeowner situations. And then from our own experience, we can share a few stories about how we've seen customers, demand insurance claims be filed, even against our better judgment, knowing when something will and won't be approved. So what we'll do is we'll really talk about the reason insurance is there and some of our tips to know when it's appropriate to file a claim and how to discuss those kind of situations, both with your contractor and then also with your adjuster. And from that other angle, we'll also talk about how insurance companies provide in-house adjusters whose sole mission really is to keep the insurance company from spending a lot of money versus what might be a public adjuster who has the customer at heart and will go in, look at the damage, and make a true assessment of what those costs are. So we can kind of see the spectrum, history, in-house adjusters, public adjusters, and how to approach that situation with a contractor in mind as well. Wow,
that's advice that could be worth thousands of dollars to somebody.
It's absolutely amazing. And just, I don't want to steal any thunder from later presentations, but if you look at the nationwide averages on larger claims, the nationwide average for in-house adjusters is around a $3,000 claim return. And if you take that same kind of stuff over public adjusters, the public adjuster return is $17,000. So you can see a huge difference, an absolutely amazing difference on what you can do just by knowing the right questions to ask or the right direction to go in that situation.
Well, Jeremiah Davies, I can't thank you enough for sharing your wealth of knowledge with everybody. And I'm looking forward to going through these videos one at a time with you. As we're speaking right now, we have no idea what date somebody is watching or listening to what we're saying. So they may well see your entire YouTube channel all fleshed out with all of these various videos and new ones coming on all the time, or this may be the first one they've come across. But either way, they can reach you. I see your phone number there in the background at 571-354-0331 and orionhi.com. What about, is there a good email address for them to reach out to you if they have a question?
Absolutely. If anybody has a question, they can reach us at info, I-N-F-O, at orionhi.com. We actually have that email address dispersed to 4 or 5 of our staff members. So there's always someone with eyes on that. Any emergencies, any questions, we'd be happy to get back to you. If it's spam, though, we'll probably delete it. So.
All right, great. Well, thank you again, Jeremiah, and I look forward to our next video.
It's an absolute pleasure, and I hope that I can bring value when we sit down and talk, Frank.
Great. See you then.
See ya.